Randy, you ready?
Yes, sir.
We'll call the March 21, 2022 meeting of the Greenwood Board of Public Works and Safety to order at 5:30 p.m. Roll call, please, ma'am.
Mr. Coleman.
Here.
Mr. Hoover.
Here.
Mr. Rutherford.
Here.
Thank you.
Minutes of our last meeting, March 7th, 2022, been distributed to members of the board. Any corrections, additions, or deletions from staff? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve as presented?
So moved. Second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion passes. First on our agenda is homeowners for 2994 Heirloom Lane, Lot 17. We folks here?
Yep.
Good evening, how are you?
Doing good. How are you?
Good. I know we've talked about this matter briefly, and I think, do we have any resolution of requests, what was going on?
Yes.
What's the current plan?
Yeah. So the current plan from the last meeting, from what I recall, the tents will be in the cul-de-sac right by the driveway. The neighbors will be invited as well, so they will know that, we will restrain from their vehicles coming into the tents. And we'll also be parking our own vehicles around the tent to make sure that any traffic that is coming on our street, the tent won't affect it and they won't come too close to the tent.
Molly, have you had some involvement with this?
Yeah, so that was the recommendation, is they somehow block vehicles so that they can drive up to the tents. And they have hired a tent company. I don't know that we've received your tent permit application, but they've been instructed that no spikes or anything can be drilled into the street or sidewalk. And if they drill into the right of way, they need to contact 411 so they don't hit anything.
And do you understand the requirements that have been placed upon you?
Yes, we do.
So you still have some communication that need to be done with the city, with Molly Lau,
Mhm.
to get some of the permitting taken care of.
Yes.
And you'll take care and do that in the time. I know you've got a little over a month before your event.
Yes.
Molly, any other questions or issues?
No, they're
5 to 11 p.m. on that Saturday? Sam, anything from your office that's an issue?
Legal's fine.
Okay, so subject to getting finalized permits and the tent company complying with the requirements, of course, the homeowners are the ones that are responsible for that. Is there a motion for permission to grant approval?
I'll move to approve. So such conditions.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. Thank you, and I hope you have a nice event. Just make sure you keep in touch with Ms. Loud and work through this, okay?
Yes, we'll do. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Yep, you too.
Next, we're going to move on to 429 Heritage Drive, Lot 26, Homecoming. This is an encroachment request. Is anybody here to either online or here in the audience to address this matter?
Yes, hi. My name is Navneet. I'm calling through on the phone.
Okay.
And yes, we were wanting to put a fence in our backyard, and the fence length, it would probably go into the drainage and utility easement line. So we wanted to seek permission if that's okay.
I mean, have you received a memo about this from a gentleman named Jeff Weaver of the city recommending some conditions that we might consider?
Yes, he mentioned that the fence should be, I guess, like determined. It should be determined for adequate drainage. And if there's any drainage issue, it would be our responsibility, the homeowners. And we should call the Indiana 811 before installing any sort of fence.
And you are okay with all of those conditions?
Correct, yes, we are.
Further questions? Questions for maybe Mr. Peony, if there's any existing with that memo? Any questions for the homeowner?
I move that we approve subject to those conditions set forth in the report.
Second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Okay, thank you.
Next, let's move on to Bexley Village Properties, request for appeal. Someone here to address this with us? Jones?
Yeah, I'll speak on behalf of the petitioner. For the record, Chris Jones, Director of Stormwater Management. We've been working with Bexley Village, actually for the last couple of years. The property has gone through a ownership change. The property was sold, and the new management company has purchased it. And so as you can see, there's some absolute egregious problems with their erosion around their pond bank failure. So the petitioner has asked, we've started to cite it again, and the petitioner has asked that they have 12 months to apply and correct for the problems that they have out there. So they're going to actually have to come to CDS with stamp drawings to go through the review process. So 12 months should give them enough time to get that accomplished.
You think that's a reasonable request?
I think that's a reasonable request.
So where are we in the appeal process? What are they asking for, Chris?
Well, they're asking for 12 months.
Into, all they've gotten is just the warning at this point.
I
Haven't
think
been any fines imposed.
I think they have one fine at this point.
Looks like it's,
You know, in that 12 months, that include installing it?
I do not know.
12 months.
It is.
but it's a big problem. Looks like.
It is.
Yes, it is a big problem, but
Looks like some-
we don't want to, I don't think we want to go through another winter. I mean, I don't,
Yeah.
That's what I was saying,
Yeah,
that
that's-
12 months.
that was terrible.
To appeal.
I think they should, if we give them 6 months, or at least till, let's say till July to come up with plans or drawings. And
something
then,
like that.
Put a staggered, some guidelines in as the gradual, make certain that, and we've gone through a couple other people, city just kind of put it off,
Yes.
until they even start the process.
Right.
At least we're talking with them, and maybe, guess, Chris, if you have an understanding as to the timing of this, maybe you could put together a plan as to how quickly they should have certain steps accomplished.
Okay.
I mean,
Is
we
that
can-
it?
Yeah, we can discuss, I guess, you want.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Stormwater.
okay.
We'll pay CDS, if you guys take care of that, would be my recommendation. Is there a thought to that?
Well, I think it's a good idea, give them 3 months to come up with a plan, and another 3 months to execute it.
Or let Chris and Paul, whoever's
Let you all,
involved in that, make that plan, but
so we
just
need,
keep us surprised. Is that
Yeah.
good with you?
so we need a motion to that effect.
And let's also just make sure that if there's any, it looks like,
Give them 6 months, and then if they're not done by 6 months, they come back in and explain what's taking so long. How about that?
That sounds good.
that puts them into September.
I move that we grant the request for appeal, allow 6 month continuance of enforcement action, as long as they stay in contact with the city and work towards planning to correct the after that 6-month period, they can come back before the board, report their progress.
Would that include a stay on any fines that have been
Yes.
implemented?
I'll say that.
Further discussion?
So I just want to make sure I have the record. You're saying you're going to delegate to staff to work out the timeline of the correction?
Well, they have 6 months. Now, if it
So
takes
we're
them
gonna-
a
okay.
month to come up with a plan or 4 months to come up with a plan, then they've got the remainder of that to actually execute the plan.
But I think
Okay.
the commitment is that they keep in communication with Chris and Paul, or whoever's in the chairs that need to be doing this.
Okay.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Paul. Don Cox. Will talk to us about city work. Good evening.
Good evening. For the record, it's Dawn Cox, and I am requesting that we enter into a 3-year maintenance agreement with City Works that would start March 1st of 2023. And the staff would recommend the board consider this, but it would be conditional upon final review by the legal department and authorize the mayor to sign on the board's behalf.
And this wouldn't start until next March?
Yes,
So we're still under that when the current
correct.
arrangement expires?
Yes.
If you recall, Daniel came at his last meeting on February 7th and asked for a 1-year extension. And that staff was going to be going back to them to get a 3-year agreement because they only offered a 1-year extension.
Questions for Don? Well, I'll move for approval as requested.
Second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you, Don. Next is Amber King from Simon, O'Reilly Auto Parts matter.
Hello.
Hello.
Yep, I'm Amber King. I work with Simon CRE. This is for a project, obviously, you just mentioned. It's for the O'Reilly Auto Parts, hoping to have the release of the performance guarantees and the acceptance of the maintenance guarantee.
We have Paul Peony's memo in front of us. Paul,
Everything's good.
everything's good.
I'll move for approval.
Second.
Presented.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you, Amber.
Thank you.
Mike Picklesheimer at Projects Plus, we'll talk about SCS Construction. Good evening.
Hello,
Glad to have you in person.
thank you. Yes, my name is Mike Picklesheimer. I'm from Projects Plus. I appreciate you allowing me to present tonight. I am here for the SCS Construction building on 173 Broadway Street here in Greenwood. The SCS Construction are actually working out of the building. They started construction at the end of 2019, and the construction is complete. And tonight I'd like to ask for the acceptance of improvements and the acknowledgement of completion and the release of the performance guarantees.
That's the first half of your request, is that right?
Yeah.
Mike? Okay, let's deal with that first. Paul's memo to us recommends approval of that subject to the only condition being received the Mylar and digital as-built.
And actually, those came in this afternoon and they're okay. So,
Okay, so
yeah, the memo's already
unconditional
approved.
approval. Is there such a motion?
So moved. Second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Now let's talk about the waiver request, Mike.
Yes, sir. The construction has basically been complete for over 2 years. We just, I can't tell you why we didn't get the as-built in here. I'd like to be able to, give you an answer on that. But the construction within the right of way and on public property was very minimal. And so we would like to ask for a waiver of not having to put up maintenance bonds. It's already been 2 years and they're very minimal. So
The improvements were very minimal and the maintenance guarantee amount would have been between $200 and $300. And we just went out and inspected, and everything really looks good, so.
Well, based on that, I'll move that we waive the requirement of the 3-year maintenance guarantee for this project.
Second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank
Thanks,
you
Mike.
very much.
Thanks, Mike.
Good to see you.
Next from the audience, Mr. Petty, let's go to you first.
David,
Evening, Tom.
keep this short as you can. As I'm sure everyone is aware, the last year and a half, 2 years has been very difficult to find vehicles and equipment, especially vehicles for the city. As none of the manufacturers are particularly interested in selling fleets at this time, because they want to sell the higher end equipment that has higher profit margin. But so kind of open scope what I was looking for. We found a vehicle that fits in our waste management department. So I'm here to, it is a used vehicle, it's a 2020 Dodge 5500. It is Cummins diesel, it's fairly new, it has less than 11,000 miles on it, which for a diesel engine is 0 miles, basically, essentially. So my request here tonight is two-part. First part of it is, for requesting anything else, is requesting an additional appropriation into the waste management budget classification 445 in the amount of $78,404.50 to purchase the truck, and then have money left over to add some plow to it.
Greg, everything okay with you? Yep. Your office? Sam, there's no other options or issues, are there? Okay.
I move for approval as presented.
Both the appropriation and the purchase?
Yes.
Thank you. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Todd.
Thank you.
And then Amanda, you had something that from a while back. HVAC thing, you want to do that? Is that?
Sam has it on his walk on.
Okay. Anyone else in the audience wish to address us this evening, either in person or online? Hearing from nobody, we'll move on to the IDA compliance plan status update from Mr. Hudson.
Our general contractor has responded to the IDEM inspection report on the Western Regional Interceptor, and we've heard nothing back. Other than that, there's nothing to report for IDEM.
If you want to go on to your walk-on.
Walk-on is the Sexton HVAC maintenance contract. It's under the exact same terms and condition as the year before with the same vendor.
I'll move it for approval of this. Subject to the mayor's signature, is that
Correct.
Sir.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Next up is the 2021 Title VI report. This report is necessary because we received federal funding. Shauna Coons is our Title VI coordinator. Today I'm seeking conditional approval for the report. She is still awaiting input from Judge Gregory and CDBG. And with that, we could submit the report.
Questions for Sam? Everything, so I'll move for approval, conditional approval subject to receiving further information by the legal department.
Second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Next up is consideration of the opt-in for the opiate litigation. If you recall, the Secretary of State, along with some other secretaries of state, reached a settlement with the drug wholesalers. This isn't with the bigger settlement with Purdue Pharma. And Mr. Rokita had this agreement set up in such a way that the cities would only receive 15% of that money. Greenwood and Franklin were among the cities that said no. In fact, none of the major cities were interested. They went back to the drawing board. They've increased that amount from 15 to 35. The old settlement would not allow us to participate in future litigation, which is probably going to be much bigger than this. We're free to do that in this settlement. Our lawyers recommend that we opt back into the settlement. And part of this deal is their fees are capped at under 9%. And even with that, we'd be receiving twice as much as what was offered the first time around.
Questions for Sam? We have a resolution to resolution 22-04, which outlines opt-in procedure. Is there a motion to approve resolution 22-04?
So moved.
Second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you, Sam.
Next up is a proposed settlement of 102 South Madison Avenue. This is the old Between the Bun establishment. Our appraisals came in at $230,000. Between the time the appraisals were done and the condemnation action was filed, the owner received an offer for $259,000. And that is the basis for the settlement. The difference between the two numbers probably isn't material when you consider what's happened to us by court order appraisers in the past. So we recommend that the board accept the settlement.
I'll move for approval.
Second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Legal has nothing further to report.
Thank you, Sam. Paul?
Yes, the first three items are asking for the mayor to authorize be able to sign the operation of the maintenance manual for water quality for the Greenwood Estates Mobile Home Park, the Sand Fueling Center, and the Peterman Heating Cooling and Plumbing extension.
Ask for the motion to pass all three at the same time.
So moved. Second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Final item is the 2022 annual paving project. Engineering and the street department are asking the board authorized staff to prepare the bid specification and to advertise for bid for that project. And we hope to do that in the next month to 5 weeks or so.
The board,
Move for approval. Second.
further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you, Paul. Mr. Wright?
For me,
Thank you, Greg. Mr. Wright?
I will move for approval of the claims as presented.
Second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you, Jan. We'll stand adjourned at 5:53 PM. Outstanding job.